Okay, fair warning. If you're in suspense over last season's cliffhanger ending to Arrow, and you do not want it spoiled until you see the episode and you're watching this first, turn this off now. So, last season of Arrow ended in classic movie cliffhanger style. The island blew up with everyone on it and they're all dead. Yeah. Basically, I expected a caption to flash up on the screen. Tune in next week for Arrow. Come back to the theater next week for Arrow. Chapter 13. Eid. Underworld of Death, or something like that. And through a series of flashbacks in the episode that premieres this season, we learn that just like those classic movie cliffhanger serials, the cliffhanger in this was kind of a cheat. We only think everybody's dead because they chose not to show us things. I can see some people calling this a cheap cop-out, and yeah, I'd have to agree, except that the cliffhanger itself felt so much to me like a classic movie serial cliffhanger that I can't fault this for having the same resolution as a classic movie cliffhanger serial. They'd all resolve like this. I grew up watching classic movie cliffhanger serials, and every time there's a cliffhanger, they are always resolved like this in the next episode that they show in theaters. You'd see certain death. You definitely see the hero die, get blown up, shot, fall down in a shaft, or something, and then you'd see it the next week, and you'd be like, "Oh no, he dodged a bullet, and he grabbed the gun and shot the bad guy." What? We clearly saw him die on screen. So, yeah, I have no problem with this, simply because it feels so classic in my book. But here's what we learn. Despite all the mystery they decided to build up around who would survive, the only person who died was the mother of Oliver's kid, whose name escapes me at the moment. Both the mother and the kid. But I say good riddance. She took before you think I beat too harsh, think about what she did. She took money from Oliver's mother to hide the kid from him. She then, when he found out and trapped her in it, told him that the only way he could have any interaction with his kid was to not tell his fiancée or anyone else he was the kid's father, and then told him that he wasn't allowed to tell his son that he was his father. I'm sorry, after you do that, you're pond scum. No way, you're just scum. Sorry. You can't bring up his past and go, because you were a part of that. The reason you got pregnant was that you were a part of his partying past. So you can't bring up that as an excuse. And second of all, you know that he's not like that anymore. He's proven that. So, oh yeah, that's not an excuse. He's not like that currently. So, there's no reason in the present why he can't. At least, if you want a kid kept private, he can use private security to keep it private, or he can still just tell the kid and his immediate family that he has a kid and still keep this relatively quiet. I'm sorry, but there was no excuse. She was just pond scum she was just pond scum, and I'm glad she got blowed up. Ugh. Yeah. Thea is in a coma because she ran after her. The rest of them took shelter in a plane. Of course, Deathstroke, or whatever he's calling himself, got off the island and mysteriously pops up. And I like the little redemption arc that they seem to be doing with him. And he and Oliver have some tense moments. Their relationship is complicated now, but it's played perfectly by both of the actors involved. Stephen Amell is, of course, always good in this series, but the one who seems to be having the hardest time is Quentin Lance, who basically had to shoot, I think, an alternate universe version of his daughter. Yeah, apparently there's an alternate universe version of Black Canary who's evil. As I said in my Legends of Tomorrow review, I didn't see everything of Arrow last season, so so if I'm getting any details wrong, sorry about that. So basically, everyone survived, and Quentin Lance is dealing with the fact that he shot his daughter, dead, basically. Evil Black Canary. And there's a new Black Canary who I don't know if she's from an alternate universe or just using gear. I'm not even sure who she is right now. So yeah. But that's where things stand with the survival. Okay, the episode proper begins with Team Arrow taking down a missile that's been launched at the city for a missile launcher by somebody who was trying to hold the city for ransom. And let me say, Team Arrow has never looked in better shape at this point. They quickly and efficiently take it down, no problem. It's just, and as always, especially seeing the Arrow in action is always fun. In fact, this episode is packed with amazing and exciting action scenes. If there's one thing I can say for the series Arrow that it's never disappointed in, the one area is in the fight scenes. They're always done at the top tier for television, as far as I'm concerned. They always look great, convincing, and are fun to watch and are well shot, where you can always tell what's going on in the scene. So, if nothing else, you always get good action scenes in Arrow. And Oliver seems to have mellowed a bit. Despite, you would think he'd be brooding after what happened on the island, but he actually seems sort of happy would be a little too strong of a word for Oliver Queen. Let's just say not depressed. That's probably the closest he ever gets to being happy. And well, the whole team seems to be dealing with various issues, though. And the new Black Canary seems pretty cool. Her powers seem, if anything, stronger than the old Black Canaries. So that's pretty interesting. Quentin is, of course, having problems with his drinking, but unlike in the past, this seems to be rising above some of its soap opera-ness, in that he actually calls the new Black Canary for help when he's thinking of drinking, instead of getting this old thing where he just starts drinking and screwing everything up. He seems to have learned that much. Oliver, I'm sure this will please the shippers, but Oliver and Felicity seem to be together. They just don't seem They just don't think that that everything is okay. The timing is right for telling his son that they're together because, well, yeah, Oliver, for everything that goes right for him, he's handling being the mayor well, actually, balancing with his Green Arrow activities, and things seem to be going well with Felicity. He's taking down bad guys. Uh, but, as I said, for everything goes well for Oliver, something has to go badly. So not only is his son having nightmares, but his son blames him for his mother getting killed because they were dragged into it because of him. I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so that's a problem. He and Lance actually, he and I guess Deputy Mayor Lance now, I keep thinking it was Captain Lance, but that's not true, actually have a very good scene together talking about this problem. However, things get disrupted when this episode earns its Cops Are Morons badge. They do a couple of really, really, really stupid things. I mean, words cannot describe how stupid this is. You have a supervillain who just tried to blow up the city in custody. And he asks for a soda. And he said, be sure it's carbonated. Bing, 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 bing. With everything that's happened in the city, does that not set off a giant red warning light? How does that not set off a giant red warning light? So they stupidly give him his soda, then they just watch as he bangs his head repeatedly on the desk, has a tooth come out. He then tells them that it's C4. Again, the cops make no move to stop him, even though they're in the room and like 3 feet from him, and he then drops the C4 into the soda to activate it, and it blows up the station and sets him free. Then a bunch of mercenaries kill a bunch of cops, and of course they're led by evil Black Canary. Yeah. This leaves Quentin, who seems to be who I'm gonna start referring to as poor dumb Quentin if things don't look up for him, because this show seems to love kicking him in the crotch with steel-tipped boots worn by a Terminator. Because it seems that this version of Laura Lance was actually looking for him. And that's why she killed all those cops. They then find plans for bombing the ceremony for graduating police academy graduates. So, of course, Team Arrow shows up there, provides security, all with a gadget that Mr. Terrific made for finding bombs where they don't need dogs. However, nothing happens there, and then we find out why. It's because the plans were a decoy. Instead, Laura Lance and her goons attack the bunker where the Arrow is headquartered. And, well, they blow up a good portion of it, but even when they have the chance, they don't blow up the whole thing, leaving everybody to assume that she was just after something there. After doing an inventory check, they find that she stole one of the ball things that Mr. Terrific uses. But it seems kind of weird that she would steal it since it wasn't completely constructed and it wasn't programmed, meaning that it's seemingly useless. But yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. And we then find out that Diggs hasn't been able to fire his gun since the incident on the island. So that's going to be a bit of a problem, since he's a vigilante who uses guns. Oliver finally gets through to his son a little. You see that there's a lot of work to do, and it feels like a very real and realistic scene. And unlike previous ones where it felt like unlike some previous seasons where it tried to pull some of this stuff off, where it felt like forced soap opera stuff, here it all feels very much in character, very much true to character, and very much a realistic, necessary part of the story, because you couldn't believe in these characters without these. The reactions all feel real, so that helps this stand out. And they're actually almost underplayed, so you get it feeling extraordinarily just good for this show. So they gained some ground. Things are looking up, but they have a Fred out there. But then we get a cliffhanger that, well, left me on the edge of my seat. Well, Felicity calls up Oliver and tells him to turn on the news. There's a picture on the news of him with his Green Lantern, with his Green Arrow hood off. I say Green Lantern. Oh, that's just my wishful thinking that all the references to Hal Jordan and Ferris Air would come true in this universe. I mean, they're not using him in the movies. Why can't they let them use him in the TV show, since he's been set up there? Did I get off track? Anyway. And yes, the news has identified Oliver Queen as the Green Arrow. And he even admits that he doesn't know what to do about this. I would have thought he had a plan for this, but apparently not. Yeah. So I'm on the edge of my seat until next week. Okay, I think this is the strongest season premiere Arrow has ever had, and it was definitely the strongest season premiere the Arrowverse, and probably the CW, had this season. There were very few things I could find to say against it, other than the cops' blatant stupidity, which seems to go with the territory with comic book stuff. There wasn't much to complain about. So I'm giving this episode a rating of 8 out of 10. Extremely good. You've made me want to watch this show every week now, even though I have to stream it because it's now opposite the Orville. Thank you very much for moving it from 8 o'clock CW. But yeah, I can't wait. I'll be eagerly watching each week and reviewing it. So where this just was great. A great episode of Arrow full of great action. There was some humor in it that worked well, and great character moments. So I highly recommend this episode. And I very much look forward to seeing where the show goes in future weeks. So, whereas I was becoming indifferent to the show before, so great job, team on Arrow. See you next week.